Hello, everybody, and welcome to Beyond Compatibility, the podcast where we explore what makes relationships truly work. I am Lucas, and here we talk about love, connections, and what keeps them strong. Whether you're single, in a relationship, or just curious about the dynamics of compatibility, there is something here for you. Okay, everybody. Today we have a very special episode because it's the end of the season. This is episode 10. I'm very excited because we are going to reflect with Burulça here. That is my girlfriend.
Hello.
She's going to be the host today. And we're going to reflect over the last 10 episodes. It's been an amazing journey, and she's going to ask some questions about what happened, and we're going to reflect on those questions. So, welcome, Buru.
Yeah, welcome too, Lucas. You're finally in the interviewee seat.
I'm finally in the interviewee seat, that's correct. So let's see how it plays out. It's not the same, actually, to ask questions and to receive questions.
Yeah, let's see how I do.
You're going to do fantastic, I believe so.
Yeah, it's nice to be here again. The previous time we came, it was the first time coming to check the studio, and now you have made 9 episodes already.
That's great. It's true. The episode 0, it was here with you.
Yeah.
We didn't publish, though.
No. There wasn't much to publish.
Too much to publish, right?
Or too much to publish.
But we did a nice test.
Yeah. Yeah, looking back at these 9 episodes, for me, it's been fun to see you with this process, figuring out, talking to people, doing interviews, telling like, oh, yeah, I found this person. Yeah, it was nice to see you excited about this.
Thanks.
And yeah, the episodes are also very interesting, somewhat diverse group of people. Maybe not so much about the gender, but we'll talk about that.
We'll get to that.
Yeah. And yeah, I look forward to summarizing or unpacking some of the learnings you made.
That's fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
That's fantastic.
Let's start maybe with, what made you start this podcast?
Wow, a lot of things actually, but the very first things that pop up to my mind right now is that I've been always very passionate about relationships. It's since many years at work and outside work, it was something that I always had inside, like the philosophical part and the relational part, and why are we doing the things we are doing? People are struggling, and fundamentally, all of the problems, of most of the problems that we have, boils down to a relational problem. With a colleague at work, with your partner, with your friends.
With yourself.
With yourself, definitely. Like everything comes down to a relational problem. And I was always very passionate in decrypting all this stuff, deciphering all this stuff. And after many years of reflecting on my own, on reflecting on with other people, or having bad experience on myself, bad relationship myself, I got to a moment where I said, okay, let's talk to experts, let's talk to people that are devoting their lives to the relationship problem. And this podcast is an expression of my interest, my passion, and I'm trying to get some answers, and I'm trying to find a way to and contribute to make people have better relationships with themselves and with others.
Mm-hmm. And has your understanding of relationships evolved through interviewing the guests during this season?
Definitely. There was a lot of things that I learned new from the people, and I'm mixing it actually with knowledge that I already had or that I got from social media or from movies or from books, or talking to the people helped me a lot to improve the knowledge I have, to get a lot of new knowledge, and to connect new ideas in many different directions. You know, like this first season, the first 10 episodes, as you mentioned before, it was a diverse set of people that we had a lot of progressive more people, conservative people. We had a little bit more of therapists. We had dating coaches and matchmakers. And I know this diverse set of knowledge I got exposed to helped me increase my understanding of relationships. But I need to say at the same time that we are already starting. Like these 10 episodes was a lot, but there is a lot to go still.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, cool. And so you, before starting this entrepreneurship journey, so you were working as a software engineer.
Correct.
And how has been this kind of change for you, like to start doing something very different?
I need to say that as a software engineer, you always get exposed to new problems and new technologies and new dynamics and new managers and new stakeholders. So there is a part that the exposure itself to new things, it's something common. So I need to say that for a software engineer to start delivering on a podcast is something completely different. Everything I've been doing so far in the podcast was absolutely new for me. Meaning, I of course, I knew how to write code, but here I'm not writing code. I'm working on production, on how to set up a mic, what is like a multi-channel recording, the lighting, the how to combine two tracks or how to record in a way that sounds good to the audience. It's completely different. But not only the production part, there is a part of edition, like when you have different files, audio files and video files, and when you get noises, when you get the lights that are not working, the contrast, the brightness, you need to edit things after you record. And that was completely new for me. So there is a part of production, what is called the post-production and edition. And there is a part of distribution, because the podcast is in Spotify, it's in Apple Podcasts, it's in YouTube. There are particularities of each platforms. You have the RSS feeds where you need to put the video in a host and that gets distributed in other platforms. And finally, you have the social media part in which you have a TikTok, you have YouTube Shorts, you have Instagram. Every platform is different. They require the videos to be in a particular size, in a particular way, and you need to put text, you need to, and it's a lot of completely different things. And as a software engineer, despite I had this drive, let's say, to, if I know that I'm getting to something new or I have a new challenge, I have the confidence that I'm going to learn those skill set eventually. Still, when there is everything is new, it's hard. It's hard, and I got a lot of learnings in this end on the technical part, and I got a lot of feedback from people from like how to improve the audio, how to improve the lighting, and I believe in the next season I'm going to apply all this knowledge. So if you hear some background noise or something and I don't edit out, is I'm going to learn about it and I'm going to implement in the next season.
Since you mentioned the next season, do you have already some ideas what we can expect?
Yeah, I have some ideas, but I expect to solidify them and to crystallize stuff in the next weeks. We are going to take 2-3 weeks now off, going to Palma. We are going to Palma and going to talk with different people on what to do next. But I have some ideas, some angles. And the first one, I would say there is a lot that can be explored in the friendship area when we are talking about relationship, when we are talking about friendship. There is a lot to talk about co-founders. There is a lot to talk about sex that it was not very explored in the first season.
Yeah.
But also I'm interested in another angle that it's more in the technical part. Like the podcast spirit comes to explore the intersection in between relationships, which means romantic relationships, platonic friendships, and relationship with yourself, with technology, that we have the dating apps, social media, AI companions, and the politics, specifically the gender roles. So in this intersection in between relationships, politics, and technology, the part of technology we didn't explore that much in season 1. So there is an angle for season 2 that it's more technical, like how Tinder is implementing the algorithm, or Lavu, or Bumble, or what the concept of the new hype of AI is going to affect the relationships. Dive deeper into why AI companions are becoming so successful, and what can we do in order to have better relationships through AI. Like, relationships are a messy process, complicated, highs and downs, and you fight with people and then you reconcile and you feel stressed. It's a messy process when you meet someone, when you have a relationship. That it's not a super easy, smooth transition and where everything starts getting fantastic. So I believe that AI can help us navigate those messy processes, and instead of replacing human connection. So I would like to, I don't want to get biased. So because I have some idea in mind, I'm going to go with the idea of try to disprove my belief.
Okay.
So I would love to, the belief is, I believe that AI should be used to enhance human connection and not to replace it.
Okay.
So when we see, for example, the website friend.com, that this young entrepreneur created like a device that you put in as a necklace, and it's listening to the conversation,
Okay.
and it's processing some of your conversation, and it's a friend, a chatbot that sends you spontaneously messages. What he said, what the other friend said, it was not really nice, or you're not doing good. Like, it's a friend that is listening to your conversations and is sending you messages through an app or through WhatsApp.
It's listening to your conversations with your other friends.
Correct.
Like the voice.
Yeah. The entrepreneur, it's a young entrepreneur, bought the domain friend.com for, I believe, $2.3 million. And yeah, I understand that it could be, it could have some utility to have a virtual friend that is listening to your conversation, and is giving you advice or giving you support, but in my heart, I believe that you cannot replace human connection. You still need to have friends, and you still need to go through the messy process of building a friendship.
Yeah.
Or building a relationship, and you cannot replace it with AI. But I believe that AI can help.
Can be a guide.
Can be a support for you to navigate those processes.
Okay. Yeah, let's see. I look forward to hearing about this AI part.
No, definitely. I mean, I would love to talk with this guy, actually, with this entrepreneur that is betting millions business. Like, I would love to talk with other AI managers or developers on dating apps companies or relationship app companies. I would love to talk with them. And I think this could be an angle for the second season. Yeah.
So when you first started out this podcast, in the first episode, you actually laid out some questions. That's why you were going on starting this podcast, to answer some questions. Do you want to review those?
Definitely.
And
let's do it.
The first question you wanted to answer was, why are relationships or dating so challenging today?
There are so many things to say about this. From what I talk with the experts and combining that with different sources of information, I believe that initially the very first and challenging thing that we are all facing is that everything is scaled right now. So
Scaled.
technology scaled all the problems that we had before. Meaning, so if you were having a problem to find a boyfriend, you're a girl, you wanted to have a boyfriend. Before, you had the problematic that you needed to pick in between 6 people of your town. This is 60, 70 years ago. You had 6 guys to pick from. And that was already a problem. Now, with the technology and the connectivity and the dating apps, you don't have to pick in between 6. You have virtually infinite options to pick from. And I believe that our biology, is not I believe, I think there is some data. I'm going to put that in the comment, in the description of the episode afterwards, but there is some data that we are not prepared for infinite options biologically. So and I heard from Simon Sinek once this idea of the Dunbar's number, that we can only hold in our minds 150 people because our biology is prepared to know 150.
Yeah.
So in the moment you start scaling and everything now it's massive. Like you have immense options about relationships. You have immense options about career. Before you had, if your father was, I don't know, working with wood, you are going to work with wood because that's you had only one choice. So now eventually, I mean, you can study whatever you want. You can work in whatever field. There is some limitations, but it's virtually you can decide what you want to do. Before we had problems with relationships, we have little problems with relationships, little problems to decide what career to pick, where to live. Our set of options was limited.
So there's a problem of choice.
There is a problem with choice.
Shouldn't it be also okay? Then you can find people more compatible with you.
That's 100%. That's one of the things. Like in the phase of unlimited options, you need to develop a skill set to pick. And this is when you need to rely on your values, when you need to rely on your priorities. And it's a tough decision and it's a tough thought process in which you need to trim the opportunities. So you need to get exposure. I can live all these lives. There is an initial phase where you need to say, what are my options? And they say, okay, I can pick this career, I can pick marketing, I can pick finance, I can pick this guy, or I can pick this girl, in between 6, in between 10, like you need to get exposure. But at some moment, you need to say, okay, I need to pick one. I need to pick one career. You can do lateral, you can do change, you can revert it, that's fine. But you need to make your universe smaller. So there is a phase in which you make it bigger, and then at some point you need to focus on a specific set. You need to pick one girlfriend, you need to pick one job, you need to pick one direction, and you need to assume that there are lives that you're not going to live. And that's a painful process, but I think you need to do it, because if you don't do it by yourself, then the options or the decisions you are making in life are going to be decided randomly, or whatever felt good at the moment, or whatever opportunity you had in front of you, but you're not guiding the process. So it's important that you are aware that you have a lot of options, but you need to pick. And that picking that option means that you are not picking the 99% others.
Okay, so you do a process of exploring what are my options and then narrowing down to, okay, this is the one I want. How do you know which is the one you want?
How do you know? I think, and this is coming from a book I read this year, actually. It's How to Build a Second Brain. And the thing that you need to pay attention to is what drives you, to what makes you feel excited about, or what triggers you, essentially. Like to get information about what you truly want. And to do this exploration is really relevant, because otherwise you can get confused by what other people want from you instead of what do you want from yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And there are many ways in which you can essentially identify what is you in all this world. But I believe that self-awareness and doing this process is, and not being equipped on how to navigate the complexities of an infinite pool of options that you have in your life, is driving a lot of people to have bad relationships. Coming back like with to the relationship parts, because there is this saying, the grass is greener in the other side always, and this is a problem of choice. It's a problem of choice. So if you have a boyfriend or if you have a girlfriend and you are always thinking there are more options outside and I'm not exploring that, and you didn't think about that, at some point you need to make a decision. So if you have that in mind all the time, you're going to permanently think, I'm not enough, I don't have enough. No, you're enough, you have enough. Your boyfriend is good. Of course, if you open your perspective again and social media, you're going to see a lot of guys with yachts and money, and somewhere in the world there's going to be something that you're going to think, yeah, probably could be better, but you need to sacrifice that perspective. I believe so.
So you interviewed 2 matchmakers, I think?
Correct. Yeah.
What do they say about this? Like, I imagine they have clients that are trying to pick a partner, a boyfriend, a girlfriend, that are maybe being indecisive, or they're not sure who to pick, or there are still more options out there that they could meet, but how to settle on, or not settle, but decide on the one person that you want to get to know better. Did they explain how they communicate about this with their clients?
Yeah, no, that's a really good question. The very first thing that both of them, Laura and Tammy, said to me is that sometimes there is a lot of confusion about matchmaking, and they are just a human filter. What they are is that they save you time. So if you are a girl and you want to find a boyfriend, you can go to 5 dates per week and see, this is not what I want, this is the profile doesn't match with the person, and you can put the work yourself. Or if you are a guy and if you want to meet a girl, the same thing, but you need to swipe right hundreds of times in order to get a coffee. Once you get a coffee, maybe you don't like the girl or whatever. What the matchmakers do is actually they save you time. And of course, what they do through the process, they need to ask you questions. They ask you how you are bringing, what are your preference, and one of the things they check in the meetings is how ready you are for a relationship, because there is a lot of self-deception that happens in people. They say, I believe that I deserve like the millionaire, like a high-value man millionaire in a yacht, because there is a lot of entitlement. And
entitlement, or I guess also like this relationship readiness thing is maybe people also try to enter a relationship not for the right reasons, but because it's easier than being alone, in comparison.
I'm not sure if it's easier.
Then you figure out that it's not easier, by the way. But just in society, it looks to have a couple is the good thing. You have someone, you never feel lonely, you never feel anything negative. Sometimes it's the impression that movies or things would create. And then if you're single and yourself feeling alone, struggling to match with someone, and it may be just as long as I think it's what Ellen de Botton was describing. Ideally, life quality should be just as good if you're single or in a relationship, so that you can actually decide to be in a relationship for the right reason, not just to be not single.
Yeah, Yeah. I mean, Lanebatuan is the god of the relationships. And so if he says something, it's probably true. But what you mentioned, we need to, I believe so, the same, 100%. We need to be ready for a relationship. We need to be in the relationship because it's a complement on our lives. It's not that we are trying to fulfill some empty void, or we are trying to get to the next milestone of life decided by someone. Like it's, why you want to have a relationship? It's because everyone else is having a relationship. It's because I saw in every love comedy that it's the thing that you need to do, or your parents are forcing you. Hey, are you going to have kids? Are you going to have a relationship? So why am I doing things? And this is, it comes down for one of the episodes was with Julia, and it was about self-awareness.
Yeah.
You need to think, what are the reasons you want to get into a relationship? Because relationships are hard, and if you are not equipped, you can get some tools through the process, but it's going to be painful. If you do some work and you ask yourself difficult questions, and why I want a relationship, what do I expect from it? Are my expectations realistic? Of course, we always are going to think, my expectations are realistic. No. Are you sure? Are you sure that your expectations are realistic? Can you ask other people if your expectations are realistic? Like, it's a journey of trying to find answers and asking yourself questions in order to connect yourself to reality. And with the matchmakers, the worst customers they had, and both agreed on the same thing, are the customers that feel entitled, that they feel that they don't know what they bring to the table, but they want the other person to be 10x, and that they are seeing themselves, and they are not seeing the other person.
Yeah.
And that's...
It's more about what I can get than what
Correct.
can I give or share.
Exactly. So it's
or how I want to grow, or what version do I want to be.
Or simplest status, like how I'm going to look in it on Instagram's pictures with a guy. Like how what my female friends are going to say about the fact that I have a new boyfriend, or what the guys are going to say about like me having a girlfriend that is hot, whatever. So there's a status part. So it's not bad to go after status, but you need to know, like what you're after.
Yeah, if it's important to you, I care that, I want a partner that has a good like social network. That's fine if you are aware. And then you can, do this narrow the search to people like that.
That's the thing, correct.
So we were talking about the questions you wanted to answer with this podcast.
Okay.
So the second one was about the loneliness epidemic. So what do you think are the main factors contributing to why we feel more lonely in the last decades? And what have you learned from the last 9 episodes about this?
Yeah, the loneliness is a really good approach and problem that we are facing, and I don't think we are talking that much. That I believe that is connected with what we were mentioning before, like the technology that in some ways, very relevant ways, connected us. Now we can talk with people that we met at school, and we can have chats with our parents through Zoom calls or Facebook, but at the same time, the fact that we can do it virtually doesn't incentivize us to do it physically off the grid. And at the same time, the way social media operates doesn't help us either to connect. So there is a part of what we were mentioning before as well, that we need to go through messy processes. Messy in one of the ways, and a very relevant way, is that we need to navigate disagreements with other people. You have your need, I have this my need. I see things in one way, you say things in a different way, and that's normal. There is this idea that common sense, we all have some sort of a common idea about how things should be. It is very different. Everyone sees things differently. And to accept that in the other, to see the other with an idea that is not yours, to accept that, not feel triggered or threatened by other person's different ideas, it's a mandatory thing that you need to have. And what happens when you have social media? When you have an algorithm that is permanently showing things that you like, because of course...
And confirming your biases.
Correct. It's confirming your own ideas, your own biases, and every time you see something that it resonates with you, because the algorithm is really good at understanding what you're paying attention to and giving that to you. The thing it happens is that you believe that what you think is universal, that everyone is looking at the same thing and the same feed. So it reinforces heavily your point of view, and this happens when you're fighting with your partner, and you have different perspectives, and suddenly the algorithm pick up on that somehow, and then you start seeing that your partner, that's a red flag, that shouldn't be like that women are like this, and it resonates with you, and your partner is seeing the opposite side, and sometimes it's very interesting, and that I come with you as well. I come to you with my Instagram arguments, like you come with your Instagram arguments, and it's some sort of reels fighting, I mean, and you say, what did you see here? I'm like, yeah, but I have this, and we should uninstall social media.
Or we just let the phones fight. Can you give us a report who won?
Wow. Hey,
there's no winning. It's not winning.
No, but I think it's, using AI to avoid fight. No, fights are necessary.
Can we outsource it to the AI?
No, I think...
No, we have to do the messy process ourselves.
It's necessary. I don't know. I believe that you need to go through, and you need to learn how to fight, and you need to learn how to reconcile and recover. And that's probably you need an AI telling you, "Hey, be patient," instead of that's a red flag and it's super disrespectful, and everyone else has a fantastic relationship but you, and you are sad. I don't know what other people see in their social media, but this is my experience.
But I think you're right. It's I think already happens, like in a couple, when you have a conflict, you get polarized because one person holds one opinion, and even if you weren't that much of different opinion before, in a conflict one assumes, okay, it's like in a very abstract sense, one, let's say, is defending freedom and one is defending security. And then if the worse the conflicts gets, the more polarized they will get already. And then you add social media showing you reels to confirm that or strengthen that. And then you have it like, it just amplifies the polarization.
100%. And the way, coming back to the point, it's 100% what you said. Like it divides people. It separates people. There is a common understanding. Hey, your partner, he sees things differently. You are not the same clone. And that's, I'm going to check data to see if that exists or not. I'm not sure how to check it, but I believe that people break up because of that stuff. I believe Instagram is breaking up relationships.
Careful.
I don't have any data, but I don't have any doubt. The
technology used to connect people with Nokia. And
now everything has good side and bad side. So we got a lot of goodness because of the connectivity of technology, but there are downstream consequences too, and we need to be careful with those. And we are starting to see that the consequences at scale of in the happiness of the people, in the isolation of the people, in the loneliness of the people. And of course, the loneliness thing, there is this fantastic book of Lorena Hertz, The Lonely Century, which is there is a full book around loneliness and the consequences and how the pandemic affected that. But I believe that it's a big problem we need to pay a lot of attention to.
Fortunately, there are some alternatives to the online or the social media for dating or also in terms of friendship. Like the Johanna or Julia, that they organize these offline events where you can meet people in person and get off the grid and try and build connections offline. Because in social media we show a biased version of ourselves, put in more like the positives or things that look nice, but then maybe we miss this like real human connection or like actually sharing, like being vulnerable to others, listening to them, like active listening, giving space for people to share like their more vulnerable feelings, thoughts. What do you think about this kind of events? Do you think there's a big, like in Berlin, is everyone always complains that it has two sides. It's also a very free city where you can explore many things, but on the other side of the coin, it can be too individualistic or lonely. Do you see good interest to these kind of events?
It's a fantastic question, because I believe that we have the need to connect, and we have the need to go offline, and we have the need to escape our rooms or our offices and to meet people. They don't necessarily need to be with random people, but it could be as well. And I think that every event in which you put together people and you make them talk offline, I think it's a good idea. At the same time, the other question is, are people interested? All the time. And I think that at the same time we need to balance out with how busy the people are, how they are, their financial situation is, how much time they can spend according to their set of beliefs. Because if you have a job and you are 10 hours there and you want to get that promotion, and then you want to put some exercise and call your mom or call your dad, or then you have very little allocation for other people. So people, I believe that at the same time they are prioritizing their careers, and is there any interest? And this I'll bring a conversation I had with in Brave Space with an entrepreneur, that she was working for a startup that was in the founders of that startup, I don't remember the name right now, but they were the same of Meetup. This startup, it was for spontaneous meetings or spontaneous organizations, offline events. And what they said is that they believed it was a great idea, but people were not using it in the end. And they shut down that startup. So for one side, people have that craving and that need of meeting offline. And I believe that's the way to go. You need to push yourself to meet others. But at the same time, you need to take out from your other priorities time in order to go to the uncomfortable process of meeting others, of meeting your friends, of meeting new people. You shouldn't stay in the house a lot of time. And if you are in the office 10 hours, probably give it a try to reduce to 8. The problem and there is a great video from Kurzgesagt about loneliness. The problem of not being in permanent touch with others can get you to an irreversible state where you cannot meet with more people, in the sense of you have built in some mechanisms that allow you to interpret other people's faces, other people's gestures, and you can interpret them with benevolence, or you can interpret them with bad intent. And in order to keep our mechanisms in sync, it's important that we meet people permanently. And I'm going to put that video. It's amazing. It's 9 minutes. It's worth seeing it. It describes perfectly with data all the loneliness problem that we are facing, and the importance of putting yourself out there, meeting people in a way that allow you to keep in sync with others.
It's an active effort.
Yeah.
It's not just I wait here and I figure out myself sitting in a room what I want and then it comes to me.
No, you need to go out there. You need to put yourself out there, and you need to interact, go through the messy process, because the more you isolate yourself, the less skills you have to get out of the cycle. There is a loneliness cycle in which, because I didn't have a good social interaction, I withdraw, or I read the social interaction in a negative way. So you go to the next interaction with that thing in your head, and then you start reading other people with bad intentions, and that makes you withdraw from social interaction, and you start getting in a cycle of loneliness. That it's the more you're spiraling down, the harder it is to get out. So it's important that you see other people with benevolence, you see them, and you work, and you allocate time to see people. You ping people good morning, you go and ask them for a coffee or for a walk, you make time for them. And even if you have the feeling that, maybe I should be working, maybe I should be studying, maybe I should be doing stuff, there is probably nothing more aligned with your nature than to see in other people.
Yeah, at some point, if you do like if you overdo the work thing, it doesn't help for your productivity at work either. If you limit your social life so much that you're starving socially, it's not gonna help.
That's 100%.
Okay, so this is about the initial going out there. Okay, you need to figure out what kind of people do I want to meet and start building those connections. And once you have connections, it's also an active effort, right? Especially once you're over 30 and everyone has busy lives and the relationships. Or what do you think? Should they be more intentional, or you need to put also this effort to nurture the relationships?
Yeah, that's exactly like that. You need to be intentional, put effort, and nurture your relationships. Sometimes we believe that, because I have this close friend from 10 years, and this narrative around, if a true friendship, if you don't nurture it, and then after you see the others after 2 years and it looks like you never left, or it's like the time didn't happen. No, that's not true. You need to take care of your relationships. It's true that there is a little bit of more resilient compared with a person that you just know. You just met a person in the street. The longer your relationship is with someone, and if you took care of that relationship, if you watered it, and if you nurtured it, then it's going to be more resilient, obviously. But that doesn't mean that you don't need to take care of that. Maybe, as I know that we live in a globalized world and everyone is in a different city and we all have busy schedules, but a call, a good morning, a coffee, a walk if you can, or if you travel, ideally you go and see them. It's relevant, but also because not only for you, because you don't know what people are going through. And sometimes in a loneliness epidemic that we are facing, we don't know if other people are in a very bad situation. And your good morning, you call, can help a lot. So if you don't do it for you, do it for the other people. Check in on them.
Mhm. Yeah, I mean, what's the worst that can happen?
Maybe you send a message and you don't get an answer in 2 days because they are too busy. But that's okay. It's okay. You don't work. Your worth is the same.
Yeah.
You're not needy.
About the episodes, there is, yes, a topic I wanted to bring up, which was that, so you had 9 episodes and 8 of your guests were women and 1 was Matthias, man. That's a coach or dating coach?
Dating coach for men. Yeah.
Dating coach for men. And the others, okay, the women doing different things, but it seemed that kind of this topic of relationships attracts more, women, or they are the ones more interested to talk about this, be part of this conversation. What do you think about this, like the kind of underrepresentation of men in this topic?
On top of that, I need to say that 70% of the audience of this podcast are women. It seems that from I don't know pre-production perspective, I need to say 2 things. First, it's the first season, and the way I decided who is going to be in the podcast was probably closer people, friends of friends, and I didn't rule the process completely.
Mm-hmm.
So there is a part of, I believe, if you start looking for men in particular instead of the people that is close to you, and you can find them. But I need to say
it's not that it happened naturally. That it's not that there are more women. Okay, yeah, there are maybe a lot of women, but men too.
I mostly know men.
And
but I'm not sure if it's a representation of society. But from my male circles, and I know a lot of male guys, no one of them could say anything. Not could say anything.
Why didn't you join, guys?
No, they do other stuff, but probably they could say their own personal experience. But experts, therapists in Spain, I think we talked with Carolina. I think 80% of therapists are women.
Yeah,
actually. So if you want to bring a couple therapist or a therapist that is a man, you need to dig. You're going to find them if you are spending like time on that. But I have a lot of female friends that are therapists already.
Mm-hmm.
It was more handy, let's say, when I'm setting up a podcast, I need to pay attention to 3 million things. The thing that is more handy is more convenient.
Mm-hmm.
This is going to change in the second season, and I'm going to be very intentional with the topics and the guests that are coming.
No, it's not to point a finger to you. I was more trying to ask about. It seems that it's a relevant conversation, and it would be nice that more men are also interested in this. I don't know, like when we are together with my girlfriends, like we talk about this, like relationships, self-awareness, how you need to be, like how they look for a partner, what they value, what makes them attracted to someone, like they're reflecting. And are men doing the same? Or
I understand. The thing is that particularly me, I like this topic. I like this topic since several years. So every time I have a conversation with someone, I flood them with this relationship stuff. So I'm not sure if it's representative, my environment, but it seems that the experts in the social areas tend to be more women, and men tend to be in other areas, like in science or engineering, but in therapy or counseling, even the dating. There are more dating coaches for men that are women that are men. So that's
okay, more coaches for dating for men are women.
So if you go to social media, there are a lot of women that are dating coaches for men.
Okay.
and they are they are very little. For example, Matthias, he's very niche. He's giving dating advice to men, being a man. But I had 3 or 4 options of dating coach for men that were women to interview in the podcast.
Okay.
But the massive amount of pressure of the audience to bring men made me choose Matthias.
Okay, I see.
It's being harder. It's being harder to find men. And if someone here is listening that wants to talk in the podcast that are men, to talk about relationships, that are experts, you are welcome.
Yes, please. We want to hear from you.
And also to encourage other men. I think it's this is a question I ask for you, because do you find attractive a man with high emotional intelligence?
For me, yes.
How important this is for you? Or for your friends? What you talk with your friends there.
There is it's important, but I think there is a threshold, there is like a cap. Like, it doesn't need to be more than you, maybe. Or, not too sensitive. Or, I think Matthias also said this in a first date, if you suddenly open up your whole life story and wounds and traumas, that's a bit too much. Okay, cool that you did work and aware about this, but there's a pace and a place to everything.
But I think that's part of the emotional intelligence, to know when you can share and when you can't.
Yeah, true.
So if you overshare on a first date about your childhood trauma, probably that's not having good emotional intelligence.
Yeah, true. Yeah, it is important actually. Like if they notice details, if they do some gestures. Yeah.
And do you think that having a good emotional intelligence is more attractive than having money or having a good salary?
I just know for my bubble.
Of course.
I would say so. Like, if it's, again, it has to match to if the girl is earning like 6 figures and wants kind of also someone kind of career oriented, maybe someone that is studying is not the best match. Could be, if maybe they don't care about that at all. It's very hard for me to answer this kind of questions. I'm not the expert. I ask you the same. So why are we?
No, it's fine. We can share our personal experience. Yesterday I was talking with a friend, and she was saying that she would prefer, and she's a high performing woman, and she would prefer to have a guy that has high emotional intelligence, can have deep conversations about emotions, about life, over them even having a job.
Mm-hmm.
So if she's earning money, she would prefer. In any case, both things tend to go together. If you have good emotional intelligence, if you're empathetic, you can read the other person's faces, you can do active listening, you can share about yourself, your internal world, you can listen, create space for others to share their own. If you communicate what you feel and you communicate it properly, if you have those skill set, those are the same skill set, the same soft skills are good. I don't know why they are called soft skills, but you can use them in a career, and you can get a job, and you can get a promotion, and it's the same stuff.
Yeah, it's the package that you, not one.
What package?
Like, of the person.
Okay.
Yeah, it's what they bring to the table. If the whole package looks good, like their personality, their social skills, the job, the passions, hobbies, like intellectual interests, how your emotional connection, physical, mental. It's never gonna be perfect. You never find someone fitting like a puzzle piece. It's as we said, it's like a process of building together, building your API, how to communicate with each other. I think you evaluate the overall picture. Like not one, you can't just say, yeah, if he has a job or not. Is I don't know, it's more case by case.
Yeah, it's a more complex question, but yeah, to some extent, I think it's important to prioritize what is more important. I don't know. I never been
Each
a
person,
woman.
yeah, can do it. But then isn't it to go with this checklist can also be blinding sometimes to, because you have also biases. You think you want something, but do you? Then it's another that then you find yourself attracted to chill guys, or you say you want a career-driven man, but then you end up always infatuated with other types of men.
So careers and others. No, but
I don't want to put any labels.
And the rest.
And the job again too.
Don't be like that. Don't be. No, but but no, and we need to know the price tag that we also, because every good quality has a price tag, and this is something that we need to pay attention to. If you want a guy that is driven, that has a career, that is after his mission, and then you're going to struggle to get time from him.
Yeah.
So do you want a career-driven guy that it's completely in his mission? Maybe theoretically, but at the same time, I want, like, everything comes with a price tag. Like, maybe you can get the best adventure of your life, like with a guy that can organize plans and take you to a trip and surprise you. That's fantastic. But what's the price tag? Maybe he doesn't care that much about a career. Maybe he prefers to spend his resources in doing activities.
Okay, so you wanted to answer the relationship question with this, which was, how can we have more relationships? Not necessarily in terms of like as much as possible, but as much as we can handle in our life, more deeper relationships and more joyful and longer lasting relationships. So what did you learn from the people you interviewed? Any direction? Like, what do we need to... So there is a part of it that you need to know yourself. Like, what do we need to focus on in ourselves or in our connections with others to find these deeper, more joyful relationships?
So this question, the relationship question, how can you find be more connected in relationships that last longer and they are good quality? That's probably something that's going to take 10 or 20 seasons to answer. And I think it's critical. Like, how can you answer that question? So if you ask me for 3 tips from what I learned so far and in the last 9 episodes, I would say first, go offline, go off the grid. Do events. If you are in your house playing video games, or if you are in your house watching Netflix, try to go outside. It doesn't matter if you're introvert, extrovert. Try to go outside and see other people. Go for a coffee. I know it's uncomfortable sometimes. You need to travel. It's rainy. It's good that or tell them to come to your house and watch Netflix together. It doesn't matter. But it's important that there is physical togetherness. It helps to prioritize the offline. That would be one thing. The second thing, allocate some time for emotional intelligence, especially if you're a man. Women, it's important as well, but it seems that you're doing it already. And you're meeting offline, and if you check the data, it's kind of, women are being more resilient emotionally because they are meeting together more and they are talking about these things.
But it also comes from our biology.
Do you think it's biological?
Yeah, I think it's because the man had to go hunt, and I mean, with the baby, maybe the woman couldn't go. I think they were also joining hunting, but anyway, like they tend to...
Not with the babies.
Yeah, not with the baby. So they stay like in the cave or whatever, and then this talking and sharing is what, like, how they build the community.
Correct.
So that naturally they have more skills for that.
No, and in general, if you can't overpower a man physically, or a man, or any other member of your species, like you need to develop those skills, or you get super strong physically, or you learn how to talk. This is the way you get safe. But yeah, yes. So first, go offline, meet people as much as you can, and have relationships as much as you responsibly can handle. Check in on people. Then ask yourself questions. And this is from the episode with Julia. Like, Julia has these offline events where she asks questions to people. And
the prompting.
Like this, if you challenge your own beliefs and if you ask yourself questions that you don't know the answer up front, this is the way you create new connections mentally, and you start seeing things outside your perspective. And it's in order to understand others, you need to improve your perspective of things. That's the second thing. I would say work on asking yourself questions to improve your self-awareness. And I would say delete social media, the number 3. Delete social media. It's fucking up your mind. It's fucking up mine already, because I need to upload things on Instagram and TikTok. It literally fuck your mind. So
you're gonna lose your followers.
Yeah. I probably delete social media.
Worst influencer ever.
Before deleting it, follow me. No, I probably there is no social media course that says tell your audience to delete you. But no, it's true, and it's completely backed by data. If you reduce 30 minutes of social media, I think you double up your happiness level, fulfillment level. It's something crazy. And there is a lot of justification. As I had halfway through written blog post about this, but you cannot help but compare yourself to others, but in a terrible way. So everyone is posting, and we know this. Everyone knows when it's using social media. Everyone is posting, curating versions of themselves. They are not putting the bad things. They are only putting the good things, and not only the good things, they are also photoshopped and filtered. And even if you know that, even if you're aware of that, it goes under the conscious defenses. You still compare yourself with a fake curated image of someone in Australia. So you are going to feel bad about yourself, because comparing yourself with others is also a built-in mechanism. And before you could compare yourself with 6 people. Now you compare yourself with the whole world.
Yeah.
You cannot help but feel terrible about yourself. You're always going to feel insecure. You're going to always feel that you are not worthy. And with that feelings, you're going to interact with others. So if you go insecure and you feel you're not worthy and you feel you're not enough, that people pick up on that as well. Like, and they say, okay, so this person, maybe it's not a person like I want to be hanging out around. People want to be with happy people that do things, that can encourage others. So if you go like very low energy, maybe it's not the best. I'm not saying that people are terrible and excluding. Sometimes they are. But it's better to, especially if you are meeting them for the first time, to go with high energy. And social media is destroying all this energy. And people prefer not to meet than to, and they have this idea, hey, if they really see who I am, they are not going to love me. And how did you build up that belief? I know I was watching social media.
Yeah. I think also if you kind of ruin your kind of excitement by watching all the reels, like you're kind of waste your curiosity on that, and then the moment you want to go out and meet people, you're so desensitized to like seeing different things on social media that they don't look interesting probably. But if you didn't desensitize yourself, maybe you would go more curious and like.
No, two things. I never thought about this, but I think it's a really good really good observations. One, if you drain your dopamine system, like playing
drain. Yeah, exactly.
then you're not going to want to do anything but to stay on the couch until you reset your dopamine system. But it's the same. If you are seeing super exciting things in social media, that the real things is like the slot machines, and you're having whoa, you're laughing like. Then you go and have a coffee with your friends. That not necessarily the 80% is going to be normal. Like, hey, you talk, what you catch up, and there are going to be 10%, 20% of fantastic engagement and laughing, but there is mostly is going to be okay. So if you go with the expectation that it needs to be 80% of the time laughing, and sometimes it happens, like not, but then you go with that expectation, then interacting with others is less joyful than scrolling. So that's not a good idea if you desensitize yourself in that situation. Share this video, and then uninstall your social media. I'm going to do it. Yeah.
A detox.
At least. Yeah. Or this is what Andrew Huberman recommends, you need to have a second phone. So you don't use social media while you are in the train or commuting or anything. Use it half an hour, because you can learn a lot of things. And trashing about social media right now, but you can get exposure to a lot of information and learning. And the algorithm is really good at giving you the information you want to know. Like, not only there are good benefits also from social media up in the learning and acquiring knowledge, but you need to control it. 30 minutes per day, not in the morning, not not when you wake up, not when you are going to go to sleep, and not 6 p.m. when you get half an hour, you get some exposure. That's it.
Is there a voice telling you that you're hungry?
I'm hungry. Yeah.
I knew it.
There are two voices actually saying that. This, I don't think Rebecca mentioned that. There are 2 or 3 voices saying the same thing. Let's go have dinner.
All are saying they're hungry. Okay. Should we wrap up this episode and go have dinner?
Yeah, we can do this. Thank you very much for a lot of things. I want to say thank you, Muru. Thank you for being the host of this episode, asking so great questions. And also thank you for supporting me in all this crazy journey of launching a podcast about philosophy, relationships, Neuralink stuff, and also for being a fantastic partner and giving me this great balance in between security and adventure that Stir Pearls describes so good.
Thank you too. And same to you. I'm happy to be on this journey with you. It's always exciting, but also comfortable.
And also thanks to you for listening to Beyond Compatibility. I really hope this episode gave you new insights to deepen your connections and reflect on what truly matters in your relationships. If you found value in today's conversation, please consider sharing it and subscribing so you never miss an episode. Until next time, stay curious, stay connected, and keep exploring what makes us truly compatible, changing the way we relate one conversation at a time.